The infographic shows average weekly household spending in 2015 to 2016. It covers categories like food, €123, transport, €124, medical, €50, and holidays, €33. The highest expense is housing at €164, while the lowest is holidays. Other costs include clothing, €34, pensions, €37, fuel, €39, and education, €18. This infographic provides an overview of household expenses from 2015 to 2016. The following graph gives information about fast food times a week. The items include everyday, once a week, and never. According to this graph, in several times a week, the value of July 2003 is around 17%. And that of 2013 is lower, which is around 16%. You can see from this graph that the highest number of December 2006 is in about once a week, around 33%. What's more, the lowest one of July 2013 is in every day, around 3%. To sum up, the graph tells about how often Americans eat fast food. This diagram illustrates the recycling process of plastic bottles. It starts with the production of new empty bottles, which are then filled with beverages. After consumption, the used bottles are collected and sent to a recycling facility, where they are processed into reusable plastic. This recycled material is then used to create new bottles, continuing the cycle. Overall, the diagram highlights the continuous process of plastic bottle recycling, ensuring waste reduction and sustainability. This graph presents the sunrise and sunset times for Detroit, Michigan, throughout the year 2016. The blue line represents the sunrise time, which is later in the winter months and earlier in the summer. The red line shows the sunset time, which is earlier in winter and later in summer. The green line indicates the total length of daylight, which increases from January to June, peaking around the summer solstice, and then decreases toward December. This trend follows the seasonal changes, with longer daylight hours in summer and shorter daylight hours in winter. The pie chart provides information on different types of recycling, including thermal, chemical, and material recycling. UN recycling accounts for about 1.85 million tons, while material recycling is slightly higher at 2.04 million tons. Thermal recycling is the highest at 5.02 million tons, whereas chemical recycling is the lowest at just 0.38 million tons. Overall, the chart highlights the dominance of thermal recycling and the minimal role of chemical recycling. The following infographic gives information about renewable energy. The items include heating and cooling, transport, and power. You can see from this infographic that there are two thermometers in heating and cooling, which account for 51%, with 10% renewable energy in it. What's more, a ship and a plane are in transport, and they account for 32% of energy, with 3% of renewable energy in them. Also, a plug-in power takes up 17%, and 26% of renewable energy is in it. Finally, 3 arrows are shown in the 3 sectors, indicating the trends of renewable energy. To sum up, this infographic tells about London's expected energy target in 2030. The following graph gives information about Internet users who access the Internet via mobile phones. The items include 16 to 24, 55 to 64, and 65 plus. You can see from this graph that, in 45 to 54, the value is around 32%. What's more, in 35 to 44, the number is around 50, which is higher. Also, in 16 to 24, it's 70%, the highest percentage. Finally, the lowest percentage comes in 65 plus, around 8%. To sum up, this graph tells about Internet users with mobile phones. The graph shows deforestation causes in the Brazilian Amazon from 2000 to 2005. Cattle ranching is the main factor at 65 to 70%. Small-scale agriculture follows with 20 to 25%, while large-scale agriculture accounts for 5 to 10%. Logging contributes 2 to 3%, and other causes take 1 to 2%. Lastly, deforested land conversion for agriculture was 80% in the 1980s and 60% in the 1990s. To sum up, this graph tells about deforestation trends in the Brazilian Amazon. The following diagram gives information about how a ship lock works. The items include a ship lock, a ship, dams, and pipes under the bottom. You can see from this diagram that the first step is that the upstream gate opens and the ship goes into the lock. What's more, in the second step the upstream gate closes and the water level evens. Finally, the downstream gate opens and the ship moves out of the lock. To sum up, this diagram tells about the function of a ship lock. The following picture gives information about a historic garden's notice boards. The items include icons, characters and background. There is a notice board saying please respect and enjoy these historic gardens with black characters. Below, you can see another notice board with 3 red and 1 green icons on it. Among them, the red icons read no cycling, no drinking, and no football. According to the board, an activity is permitted, walking dogs. To sum up, the picture tells about notice boards in a garden. The following picture gives information about minimal ice thickness guidelines. The items include an adult, a kid, a car and a truck. You can see from this picture that, in the kid, the ice thickness is around 4 inches. What's more, in the sled, the value is around 5 to 7 inches, which is higher. Also, the green truck has the ice thickness of 12 to 15 inches, the highest one. Finally, the adult drops into water. To sum up, this picture tells about minimal ice thickness. The following graph gives information about women in the labor force. The items include percentage, years, and marital status. In 1920, the value of married is around 10%. And in 1910, that of not married is around 60%, which is higher. What's more, in 1990, the percentage of not married is around 80%, the highest. Finally, in 1900, the contribution of married is the least. To sum up, the graph tells about women in the labor force. The following graph gives information about percentage of students from disadvantaged backgrounds entering university in England. The items include years and student percentages. You can see from this graph that the value of 2007 is around 12%. What's more, in 2008 it is around 13%, which is higher. Also, the highest number is around 18, and it is in 2014. Finally, the percentage in 2006 is around 11%, the lowest one. To sum up, this graph tells about disadvantaged backgrounds of students. The following picture gives information about personal protection. The items include a worker, helmets and rubber boots. There is a worker wearing a yellow helmet and a pair of brown gloves in the middle of the picture. Also, a pair of goggles is on his face to protect the eyes. What's more, he wears a pair of earplugs, which protects his ears. And a blue t-shirt is under the yellow overall. Finally, you can see a pair of rubber boots worn by him. To sum up, this picture tells about personal protection. The following picture gives information about a food chain. The items include bees, small fish, bear, and a tree. The first step is bees feeding on flowers of the tree. Secondly, small fish feed on bees. Then, a bear eats a fish and the fish's skeleton remains. After that, the bear is dead, decaying into a skeleton. Finally, the dead bear nourishes the tree. To sum up, the picture tells about a food chain. The following picture gives information about how the fruits grapes come to customers. According to the picture, the first step is purple grapes ripening on the vine, followed by the second step, in which the grapes are loaded onto a truck and transported. After that, the grapes are conveyed on a conveyor belt. Then they are stowed into a brown paper box as its package. Finally, people load the grapes in a cart, and this means the grapes reach customers. To sum up, this picture tells about grape processing. The following picture gives information about the rainforest distribution in South America. According to this picture, the largest part of rainforest is in Brazil, Bolivia, Peru, Colombia, Suriname, which is tropical rainforest, colored with light green. We can also see a narrow, long stretch of tropical rainforest lying along the eastern coast of South America, near Atlantic Ocean. And another stretch is located along the northwest coast of South America, next to Pacific Ocean. What's more, temperate rainforests in Chile, the southmost area of South America, are colored with dark green. To sum up, this map tells about rainforest in South America. The following line chart gives information of median pre-tax income by age and gender in the UK. According to the graph, in 3 lines the blue one is for male, the red one is for both, and the green one is for female. We can see male rises from 12,000 at under 20, reaches the highest point of 30,000 at 45 to 49, and falls to the lowest point of 18,000 at 70 to 74. What's more, female has the highest value of 21,000 at 30 to 34, and the lowest value of 15,000 at and over. Finally, both varies between the amounts of male and female. To sum up, female is lower than male in income. The following graph gives information about Luxembourg's population. The items include male, female, and the population. In male, the population aged from 20 to 24 is around 20,000, and that from 0 to 4 is lower, around 15,000. And the highest population of age from 80 to 84 is in female, which is around 10,000. You can also see from this graph that the lowest value of age from 90 to 94 is in male, just 2,000. To sum up, the graph tells about Luxembourg's population. The following picture gives information about heights of penguins. According to this picture, Emperor is the tallest, which is about 1.2 meters tall. And the second tallest penguin is King, about 1 meter. The third one is Gentoo, then Chinstrap and Macaroni. The shortest penguin is Adlai, less than 0.7 meter tall. In conclusion, this picture compares the heights of several kinds of penguin.